Rightio, so we're finally making some miles and we're on the road. I've just stopped here just to obviously check over the vehicle and fill up the water bag a little bit because it tends to obviously evaporate the water within it. So you've got to top it up from time to time. And I haven't driven the Perentie in a couple of months, so worthwhile checking over it anyway. The little railway siding that I've stopped off here is the turn off to a little community known as Goongarrie, and this is actually quite interesting. Why I find it so fascinating is because it is 35 degrees here today, which is pushing the mercury up to probably over 100 or 100 degrees Fahrenheit, so a warm day. You're 5 minutes away from the sun here, but someone had the bright idea and it took off in a big way to make the primary industry here wool. That's right. They used to run sheep all through here in the late 1890s, and many of the stations out here were running sheep up until probably the late 1990s. So it's quite remarkable. But the big driving force for wool really died off probably in the late 1960s, early 1970s, when the textile industry here in Australia moved abroad and everyone started wearing synthetic polymer clothes, like me. I'm basically in a plastic bag, really. So anyway, going to top up. Another modern traveller in one of those Land Lizard cruiser things. Yeah, top up, check everything, keep on moving forward. Okay, so I've found a spot to make camp. It's been an interesting little, I guess, finish to the day. I've turned off on the Heritage Trail, just probably 20 kilometres south of Sandstone. And I apologise for the camera work. I'm multitasking here, walking and talking and filming at the same time. But the Heritage Trail out in this part of the world is fantastic. It goes past the Old State Battery, which isn't a solar power complex. No, it's where they actually used to crush all the rock and then basically using, I guess, almost like a panning technique, they would extract the gold. And there's a few other interesting formations. There's one known as London Bridge, and I'm just walking up now to have a beer in the local brewery. So I'll take you there if I don't trip over first. Anyway, we'll have a look. Now, I'm not one for drinking on camera. We try and keep these programs PG, but since we're at a brewery, I think we can make an exception. This is incredible. This has actually been carved out of the rock you see behind me. And this is basically a aggregate. It's made up of whole mismatch of rocks that have obviously compressed and been stuck together over the processes of time. So to get through this would have been incredibly hard. And what they did back in 1907 is they actually carved a tunnel all the way into the rock itself. This was because they could then keep the beer cool all year round, even in the hottest times in summer. To get the water up here to brew the beer down yonder, and I'll show you in a minute, they had to make a pipeline and actually pump the water up to here. So it's incredible, and this would have provided all the beer or all the drinks required for Sandstone and probably the surrounding towns and communities. So it's remarkable. A simple solution to a complex problem. It's good stuff. So the start of another lovely day. Now I'm just boiling the billy and I'm hoping to pack up camp before the sun gets up, because I think it's going to be another warm one here today. But before I do so, there's some pretty interesting stuff to be found in the creeks down here, and I just thought I'd share with you a few little pearls of wisdom and why creek lines are really interesting to have a look at in this part of the world. So anyway, I'll boil the billy, I'll have a cup of tea or something, and then we'll go for a bit of a walk. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not the best example, but there is a bit of a watercourse through this area. As we saw earlier in the video, the brewery is actually quite high up in altitude compared to the surrounding landscape. And the reason why I wanted to stop here and have a little chat to you about this is because they've had a lot of rain in the area. And back in the day when the brewery was in full swing, there would have been almost like a little shanty town surrounding it, because why wouldn't there be? There was a nice cool drink to be had. But signs of that can actually be found with kerosene tins, biscuit tins, littering the surrounding countryside. But it's not the tins that we're interested in, it's what the rain does. Now, when the rain hits this part of the world in the summer months, it's usually a lot. And this will actually cause any coins, gold sovereigns and nuggets to get washed down into the watercourses. Because the water's been running over them, it'll help to clean them up a little bit. And if you've got a metal detector or a very good eye, having a little walk down these, I guess, tributaries is probably the best thing to do, because you'll be amazed what you find. So, left camp and we've headed through Sandstone, which is not a bad little town, but it's one of those towns if you blink, you'll miss it. And now we're heading further west, and the next town in 154 kilometres will be Mount Magnet. I wanted to avoid doing this, but sadly I've had to do it. Yep, sitting on the tarmac. I did look at a little bit of a detour, but I am a little bit pushed for time now, as we had a flat tyre the other day, so I need to get that repaired in at Geraldton. I could do it myself, but for the amount of mucking around, I think it's best to go to the professionals. So I've got the cruise control on, the hand throttle, and the road is pretty much flat as a tack, so I can sit on 95 kilometres an hour quite easily. So I'm just going to sit back, make some miles, and I'll catch you at Mount Magnet. See, we've finally made it to sunny Geraldton, and what a nice little spot. As many of you know, this is the start or the first showing of Road to Ruin on this cinema tour. So it's been really nice to have the day off and just rest up a bit, see what Geraldton actually has to offer. One of the places that I really wanted to come to is right here, which is the HMS Sydney Memorial, which was actually a pretty amazing ship in its day. Did a heck of a lot during the Second World War, but sadly those sneaky Germans got it off the coast of WA, and it was lost for many, many years, for decades in fact. And it was only actually located, I believe, probably in the last sort of 15 years or so. Could be wrong, stand corrected. But it's a pretty impressive memorial. The dome that you see behind me here has 645 doves, and they've all been welded together. And each dove represents one soul that was lost when the HMS Sydney sadly got sunk by the German raiders. But it wasn't all over. The German raiders themselves, on their ship, I can't remember the name of it, sadly met a rather nasty demise too, and they ended up going down into the depths of the deep also. So anyway, it's an impressive memorial. It's great that things like this are, you know, kept alive, history's kept alive and all the rest. But I better make a move because I've got a film to show. But anyway, I'm going to take you along, as I said. So I'll set the camera up and you can see what happens, what goes on, and a heck of a lot more.